So, hi, everybody. Here we are again. Second podcast, first interview podcast. But just to kind of give you the overall, my kids always say, I say two things a lot. I say, knock it off, and I say, I'm screwed again. So I didn't think screwed again would be a good podcast, but knock it off, I think really fits what I'm about because you see people complaining that they can't, go to work on time or work out for 5 minutes or eat right or study or whatever. And I always say when I hear it in my head and to people, knock it off. Knock it off because life's too short. Got to make the most of it. Got to make it happen. That's where knock it off came from. Well, today, my guest, Michael Wayne Lewis. And, he's here because he's going to be 70 this coming year. But this guy does everything. He rides motorcycles at almost 70. He fishes. He golfs. He does motocross. I don't even think I'm even at his level when it comes to working out. This guy's a beast. And I work out like a lunatic, right? He just shows up every day. He snow skis, he water skis, he's at events, he's doing podcasts, I'm going to just ask you, how many Guinness World Book Records?
Well, I've only got 4 for submission.
Only 4 Guinness World Book Records for submission.
But that's about money because, Guinness, unfortunately, Guinness has turned into a money deal.
And he just shows up every day. And, now I want to kind of give you the idea or understanding how I met him. So I'm in the gym, this is pre-COVID, and I'm getting ready to do sit-ups. And I do a lot of sit-ups, okay? And he can attest to that. And I wasn't really feeling it that particular day. And he walks by me with his buddy, and I notice he's walking by me, and he's heading straight for the spin room. And I'm like, why is he going in the spin room? I'll tell you in a minute why that's kind of different. He walks in the spin room, he gets on a bike, and he starts pedaling. I'm like, oh my God, now I got to do my sit-ups no matter what, and I got to really push it to the limit because of what's happening. Now, Mike, I didn't tell you, lost his leg in what year?
1972.
1972. He lost it above the knee, okay? So this guy's in the spin room on a bike, pedaling. And I'm like, when I'm done doing my sit-ups, I'm walking into that spin room and telling him what's up. So I get done. I walk in. He looks at me. He tells his buddy, that's the guy I was telling you about. I go, no, this isn't about me. This is about you. You inspire the hell out of me because of how you show up every day. And you've been doing that for years. And I know you inspire a lot of people all around the world. And I it's an amazing thing that you do every day, how you show up and how you push yourself. And you do it, you're minus one leg. I know so many people that can't show up and they got everything. They got every faculty and they just can't do it. Knock it off. How do you do that every day? And how did you overcome this when you lost your leg?
Well, thank you for the intro.
You're welcome,
Chuck. And you inspire me too. So let me start with that. But let me digress to something you said earlier.
Okay.
You said something about the word can't. So there is no word can't in my vocabulary. There's things I don't want to do, right, but there's no such thing as can't. So I have to figure out a different way to do those. Sometimes I play the game different. Sometimes I use a different tool. Sometimes I change the rules a little bit because my philosophy is what good's an inconvenience if you don't take advantage of it. Right, I'm missing my right leg above the knee. I'm called a RACA, right above knee amputee. So there's an acronym for every limb loss, and there's 5.6 million amputees in the United States alone, over 1 billion of them worldwide. So we can either sit home on the couch or in bed and eat bonbons, or we can get out and live life. And, one of my sayings is -1. I'm -1. So my race number in motocross is actually -1.
I love it.
And recently I signed up for a race, and the woman at sign up says, okay, put your race number down on your entry form. And I put -1 on there. And she says, you can't have that number -1. You can't be -1. I said, lady, it's too late. And the promoter was standing behind her. He says, let him put whatever number he wants on there. Just sign him up, So I believe that if you really want something bad enough, you can make it happen. And I think I told you this before. I think there's 3 types of people. There's those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that wonder what happened.
Right.
And I live my life trying to enjoy life every day to the fullest. I can't do it on the bed. I can't do it on the couch. I can't do it in a chair. And I tried that. I told you that.
Yeah.
When I
You
injured
did.
my back in early 2000, even though I lost my leg in 72, I overcame that.
Right.
But in 2000, I injured my back real bad on a motorcycle because I never quit riding the motorcycle.
Right.
Had 8 back procedures, one type or another. Gained a bunch of weight. Started taking.
How much weight?
Well, I don't know exactly because when I first started coming to the gym, I didn't want to weigh myself. I showed you a picture, you know.
You did.
I know I lost over 100 pounds the first year.
That's fantastic.
And so now people say, I can't believe the things that you can do. And I say, well, you know, I couldn't do them before because I was carrying 100 pounds. I'm 100 pounds lighter. So imagine, and maybe not for most people, it's not going to be a 100-pound loss. But if you were carrying less weight and you were fit and you ate right and you lived right and you eat clean, all of a sudden you see these performance differences that you never dreamed about before.
Right.
And there's a lot more that comes along with that. So not only are you feeling better, you're in less pain. And I was in tremendous amount of pain. I think I told you.
You told me yesterday that you were
Yeah,
taking.
I took, you know, I started off taking a Norco every 4 hours, and then I became a clock watcher because, you know, it's like, when's my 4 hours coming? You know, I'm trying to determine when I could take the next
Managing
pill,
the pain.
you know. And then within a year, it's like that wasn't enough. So it's like, okay, well, we're going to put you on this, and then pretty soon we're going to put you on this, and we're going to add that to it. And now all of a sudden you get constipation, and now all of a sudden you're not sleeping at night.
Wow.
And so one pill every 4 hours all of a sudden turned into 20-some pills a day just to try to feel better, and I never felt better.
But you even progressed further than that. You got on the morphine, right?
I had a morphine patch. I was taking 4 Dilaudid, 600 milligram Dilaudids a day. I was taking gabapentin. I was taking so many different pills to control nerve damage, sleep apnea, all of that stuff.
And you had a doctor. What was your doctor's name?
I'm not going to tell it.
Okay, so you had a doctor. You told me this yesterday. You had a doctor, and he was helping you manage this pain.
Well, he was the one that started me on it, and
Right.
then all of a sudden they changed the laws. So if you were taking anything over, you know, like 1 Norco every 4 hours, you had to go to a pain management specialist.
Okay.
So that was a whole bank of doctors that I first met with, and they said, okay, yeah, we're going to step it up. We're going to put you on a morphine patch, or we're going to give you Dilaudid, or we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that.
Give you that medicine.
Yeah. So every month
Right.
I'd have to go in there and pee in a cup, you know, and then they'd say, okay, yeah, you're not abusing the drugs that we're prescribing you.
Yes.
So for over 10 years, I was taking all these pills trying to chase nirvana.
So
which
from
doesn't-
when to when? What was the age to when?
Well, I think it started when I was 50.
So 50 to 60.
So 50 to 60.
Okay.
And one day, I was never feeling any better. I was just sleeping more. I was just spending more time looking out the window, staring out the window. And I got to the point where it was like I was not living life.
Were you depressed?
I was, yeah, absolutely. And that
Okay.
was another medication that, you know, they said, okay, we got to put you on a stronger
Antidepressant.
antidepressant,
Okay.
you know, and I tried 2 or 3 different antidepressants because I was hating it. I was hating life. I wasn't living it.
Right.
And like I said, I spent my time either staring out of the window or watching TV.
Right.
Period. Or sleeping.
Or watching the clock.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
counting the dots in the ceiling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
Same thing. So
Yes.
that was my life. And I went to my doctor. I said, I don't want to do this anymore. And he goes, well, I'm sorry to tell you, you're 60 years old. You're gonna be doing this the rest of your life. You know, that's where you're at. You're 60 years old. And
Can you believe what these doctors say?
yeah,
Go on.
so you can't quit doing what you're doing. So,
Right.
So they end up putting me on methadone, you know. And so they put me on methadone, and I started taking it for a little while, and I really didn't like it at all. Right. So I didn't tell my doctor this, but I started to wean myself off of it. So if I was supposed to take something every 4 hours, now all of a sudden I'd wait until 6 hours.
Got it.
I maybe went from 4 to 5 hours, and then 6 hours, and then 7 hours, and then pretty soon half a pill instead of the whole pill. So I kept doing that. Well, at the same time, they opened up the LA Fitness in Lake Elsinore.
Right. Where we met.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went in there, and I saw this old guy swimming laps. And I've never been able to swim very well. I mean, I got one leg, you know what I mean? I thought,
Yeah.
you know, you can't do that. And I couldn't swim very well as a kid. I mean, I could dog paddle and all that shit. But I went in there and I saw this old man, and old man, 80 some years old.
Right.
And he was in terrible shape, but he'd get in there and he could just swim.
Just doing it.
He'd just swim in laps, right?
He was just showing up.
So he got out, and he got out, and I didn't realize he was almost blind. He could barely see,
So we got an old man that's blind,
Yeah.
and he's swimming laps.
Yeah, like there's no.
Where is he? We need him right now.
Well, unfortunately, he's no longer
He
with
died.
us.
Okay.
COVID took him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But anyway, so I watched him, and he said,
What was his name?
Bob, I don't remember what his last name was.
Bob, we miss you.
But yeah, I miss you.
Right.
But anyway, so we start talking, and he says, well, get in the pool. I get in the pool, and I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it, right? So I tried. I couldn't even swim one lap. I mean, I couldn't do it, And I said, wow, that's kind of depressing. So I came back he goes, I'll be here tomorrow, So I came back the next day. Well, I ended up swimming 3 laps the next day. It's Olympic pool.
Right.
I swam 3 laps.
I know, I've seen it.
And I started weaning myself off the drugs, went to the gym every single day, spent an hour in the pool, either hopping, down the length of the pool and back. And
Hopping.
and then swimming the length
Right.
of the pool. And I felt like I wasn't going anywhere, so I went out and bought myself a swim fin.
Really?
So I put the swim fin on, and I kept weaning myself off the drugs. I started losing some weight. I started feeling a little bit better. My arthritis wasn't killing me. My trigger finger, my carpal tunnel, all of this stuff wasn't hurting as much as it was.
And you understand that goes against what the doctors say.
Of course.
The pain, it's only going to go away if you use the drugs.
Right.
And if you do anything extraordinarily or extreme, these doctors have it, a lot of them have it ass backwards. Excuse my language. But go on, I apologize.
They don't get paid by people not coming to see them. Right? So they're not getting a check.
You're skirting a dangerous area.
If you're not filling those prescriptions,
right.
If you're not being referred to specialists, they're not getting any residuals.
That's right.
Right. So, and I wasn't thinking that. That isn't.
No,
I didn't even think
didn't
about
have
that.
an axe to grind.
That wasn't. I was trying to feel better for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wanted to get out and start living life again. Well, within a year, I lost 100 pounds. Within a year, I could swim 80 laps in an hour. Within a year, I started doing 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. But again, I was 100 pounds lighter.
Right.
But what ultimately ends up happening is people see your transition, because there's people go to the gym for a lot of reasons. A lot of it's social. And that's fine too. Yeah. There's a lot of people that might be homeless, or they want to save their water bill. They go there to take their showers. I don't care why you go. Right. In fact, it's better than sitting home on the couch. You know what I mean? But that's not what it is for me. For me, it's a tool in my toolbox.
Right.
It's helped me get the other things in life, because I'm not 70 yet, but I still want to do it.
When's your birthday?
In November. I'll be, I'm
November 5th this year.
Yeah. So my goal is to continue to live life,
right.
but not live it as an old man, and not live it as a handicapped man, but to live it as a happy man, right? Yeah. So by taking an inventory of first what I have, and that's huge. A lot of people don't think about this, but the first thing you got to do is, because we all have challenges. We're all challenged.
Really?
Some are visible.
Come on.
Some are visible, and some,
knock it off.
Some are not visible.
Right.
Mine's obviously very visible. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But the fact is that I know exactly what tools I have available to me, and I know how to use those tools.
Right.
So then I have to figure out, okay, how do I apply them to get that goal, to reach the goal that I have set out? And for me, the passion is in the success, but the journey is also the success and the reward. So I go.
How about, and the failures is the success as well,
those
right?
You're learning from
Right.
those. So,
Yes.
So if you're smart, or you're smarter than the average bear, if you fail, you try not to repeat that.
Right.
So you maybe do an end run, or you take a different path, or use a different tool.
Right.
But so I'm constantly trying to put tools in my toolbox.
Yes.
So that I can achieve my goal. And I always tell people, Bill, if you really want to do better, get better at something, create like a stair on a piece of paper, right?
Okay.
Now, what steps do I need to take to get to the top? Because I can't go from the bottom stair to the top stair.
Right.
It's going to take a lot. But if my first one is, okay, I'm going to start by better food choices. I start eating healthy. That's number one. Because no matter what you want to do in life, you got to eat healthy.
Right.
Right. That's number one. And that's
why is it number one?
Well, because if you don't have any energy, you can't get out of bed in the morning. Well, guess where the energy comes from? Clean eating.
I'm being rhetorical, everybody.
So if you're eating healthy, like I believe it or not, when I owned my business, when I worked, I struggled to get out of bed. I really did.
Right.
I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, I got to be at work at 8 o'clock. I got to get up at 7 o'clock and to get there or whatever. Now I get up every morning at 4 o'clock. I jump right out of
4
bed.
a.m.
Yeah, 4 a.m. And I don't want to. And
You're just ready to go.
It's just that's when I get up now.
Your body clock is just
I get up at 4
just like
o'clock.
when you work out. It's just clicking.
I got a whole routine that I do. So I get up at 4 o'clock. I get, I take care of some business around the house. I watch the news for a little bit. I get ready to go to the gym. I go to the gym. I try to be there by 7:30 at the latest, and then I'm there till 11 o'clock, and then I go have a nice lunch, and then I take care of my business throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah.
That's just what I do. But these tools that I'm developing start with nutrition. So my nutrition is very clean. I eat a really good diet. I eat healthy.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so
Yeah, and really, let me just. Okay, I'm a vegan, right? But what he's going to say is going to incorporate fish and some meats. I don't care. If it's healthy, it's lean, and you keep that consumption down to a lower level, it's going to feed you the way you need to be fed. Go on. Okay. I apologize.
No need to apologize. So for me,
yes.
Now, and again, everything you hear from me, this is my opinion. I'm not a doctor.
No, I get it.
I'm not a trainer.
It's your opinion, but look at you and look what you do.
I'm not an expert.
Right.
But I know what works for me.
Yes.
I mean, I've been around long enough to know what makes me feel good and what doesn't.
Are you saying you're old?
No, I told you the story about in the bathroom where I took a shower. Our hot water heater went out.
Wait a minute, is this X-rated?
No.
Okay.
I took a shower at the gym, which I don't like to do. But
Right.
I took a shower at the gym. I come out with a towel on, and there's like 3 30-year-old guys standing there. And one of them goes, "Holy shit. When I get to be an old man, I want to look just like you." And I said, "Do I look like an old man?"
What the hell?
I thought, "Oh, you want to have one leg?" But anyway, but that's what these guys said to me, because
Right.
I should tell you, I weigh 132 pounds. I'm 6 feet tall. I have 11%.
Oh, you're shredded, dude.
11% body fat, and I'm pretty cut up.
Yeah, you're shredded.
So that's why I say when these young guys were like, "Oh my God," because I don't take my shirt off in the gym. People don't see it. I usually wear baggy stuff or whatever, so people don't see what I look like. But that's what happens. So for my nutritional direction is that I eat nothing with processed. I don't eat processed food. Period. Okay, I don't add sugar to anything, and I don't buy anything that has sugar in it.
Right.
So I eat a lot of nuts. I eat a lot of dates. I eat a lot of fruit. I eat a lot of vegetables. But I love seafood. So I eat salmon. In fact, I had salmon for dinner last night.
Right. You have salmon almost every day, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I 5 days a week I have salmon. I eat a lot of chicken. I eat a lot of shrimp.
Okay.
But I eat a lot of things that most people don't even think are good for you. Like we were talking about dates. I mean, I love dates.
Well, he said to me the other day, "You should eat dates." I go, "I eat dates
off
the hook."
They give you energy.
I eat dates all the time.
Yeah, I do too. I eat 6 dates every day. You know what I mean? And I also keep dates in my car. I keep nuts in my car. I keep other dried fruits in my car because if I want a snack, and that's my big thing is that I snack a lot. So I don't sit down because even though I eat clean, I also watch my portions.
Of course.
Your stomach is the size of your fist. Mm-hmm. I try never to eat more than twice the size of my fist.
That's a good attitude. Good advice.
The average overweight American citizen eats 17 times their size of their fist. 17 easily. Times the size of their fist. So why do you think that we're an obese nation?
Right.
Not only do we not eat healthy, but we don't eat the right proportions.
Well, and really, if you eat healthy, okay, and I don't know if you get this, but if you eat healthy, it's less likely you're going to overeat because you're getting what you need.
Right.
Right.
You're not craving.
But a lot of people still eat because it's coping, and I get it because I was a person that coped with food, and that's why I got up to 412 pounds. At the end of the day, Michael is absolutely on point with what he's saying about this nutritional piece. It's critical. The caloric intake matters because have you heard of the Twinkie diet? A guy went on a Twinkie diet, lost 100 pounds. If your caloric, and it wasn't good for him, don't get me wrong, but he still lost 100 pounds on a Twinkie diet because he managed his caloric intake. What you're eating, the amount of what you're eating is important, right?
Absolutely.
Go on.
Okay. So there's a lot of food that I would like to eat that I don't eat.
Yes.
So I love a good steak, but I can't eat red meat. Why? Because I have really bad gout.
Okay.
Or I did. I don't anymore. I haven't experienced gout now in over 5 years.
Because you don't eat the red meat.
And what's funny is that most people would think, and the doctors all told me, it's because of the amount of seafood you eat. The problem is that the seafood doesn't give me gout. Red meat gives me gout. I
Right.
can eat a steak and 3 days later my foot is swollen up and it's killing me.
Yeah, and I've never had gout, but I've heard it's like having shards of glass in your foot, right?
Yeah. It's like, well, it's like 1,000 pins. You know,
Yeah,
and
I've heard it's
and
horrible.
it starts around the joint of the big toe, and then it spreads out if you don't do something. And what they do is they give uric acid or something like that. Build up. But anyway, as soon as I stopped eating red meat, I didn't have gout anymore. So like I said, there's things I'd like to do that I don't do because I've learned. It took me a few times. I stumbled a little bit, but I've learned over time. If I eat clean and I exercise and I eat the right portions, all of a sudden I don't feel like I'm going to be 70. I feel like I'm 17. Right. And the easiest muscle in the body to work is between your ears. Is your jaw.
Yeah.
It's
the strongest muscles in your body too.
The toughest one to work is the brain.
Yes.
And they're only 3 inches apart.
Right.
But once you master that,
right,
life gets so much more simple. But what happens is, and I think I told you the hourglass theory. My theory is the hourglass theory.
They want to hear it.
The hourglass theory is that life is an hourglass. I mean, we have a time frame that we're
finite time.
Yeah, on this earth. The sand never stops dropping. Whether you can't stop it, you can't slow it down. But my opinion and my feeling is that every day I eat healthy, I'm taking a sand from the bottom and putting it back in the top. And every day that I exercise, I'm also moving one from the bottom to the top. So I'm extending or I'm prolonging my good living because of healthy diet, because of exercise and clean living. So that doesn't mean you can't go out and have fun. There's friends that I've helped lose a lot of weight or diminish pain that say, you're going to be really pissed off at me. And I say, why? And they say, well, I had cake the other night. It's like, I don't care what you eat.
Right.
How did you feel? I felt like shit after I ate it because, all of a sudden I got this sugar buzz and I thought, well, gosh, now I got to go, do this or that and to make up for it. It's
you know what I call that? They do that because they want to, this is my opinion, they want you to go, I can't believe you ate the cake. And then they can rebel against that and have more cake. And it's a psychological effect, in my opinion. Listen, like he said, I don't care what you eat whatever you want. You're the one that's going to suffer. It's going to hurt you, right?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Going to hurt them.
It didn't hurt me.
Right. It's like when I've seen you in the gym a million times. You walk up to a complete stranger and you say, hey, can I show you how to do this exercise better? I've seen you do it
every day.
Incredible amount of times. And I love it because you go up there and you show them that the exercise isn't just one way. It's 2 ways. It's a push and then a drop. And both things work the muscle. It's the same thing. You can do it wrong all day. You can eat wrong all day. We care and we want you to do better, right?
Well, if I could give them the ability to feel how I feel
right
for 1 minute, they would change their life because of the difference that it has made for me.
Play some really cool music right now, David. Make it
because like I said, I used to stare out the window and think this can't be all there is. And I was only 60 then.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This can't be the way it is. So when I started swimming and got off of the medication, all of the prescribed stuff, I don't smoke pot. Once in a while I have a drink with my friends and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't, that's not something I do a lot of, only because I play a lot of mind games with myself. So it's like, okay, well, if I drink a beer, guess what? I got to spend an extra hour to work that off. I mean, I punish myself. It's just like if I'm in the middle of an exercise and it's kicking my butt, and my brain says, you worked really hard yesterday, so you don't need to do 200 sit-ups or 500 sit-ups right now. I punish myself and say, every time I go there mentally, I got to do an extra 50.
Can I suggest something?
Yeah.
And you can still use the word punish. I think it's more you're holding yourself accountable.
Well, that's probably true.
I mean, because you really have a level of accountability to yourself, and you see it in your workouts. You see how you eat. You see how you take care of things. And I think when we go off track just a little bit, because we all do.
Of course.
Now it's time to hold yourself accountable, and you do that. So I don't think it's a punishment as much as it is an accountability to you. And I completely relate to that.
Yeah.
So
That's why I say I do play mental games with myself,
Right.
And you have to, because the other thing that I do, I've never really shared this with anybody, and it's not like it's a big thing or anything, but so let's say I'm going to do 500 sit-ups.
Okay.
Which most people, I know you do, but most people don't.
It's not about me.
I understand
Okay.
it, but hey, quit it. So if I'm going to do 500 sit-ups, I don't tell anybody I'm going to do 500 sit-ups.
Right.
I just go over and start doing sit-ups, and people
Right.
come over and say, "How many sit-ups are you doing?" It's like, well, however I feel. It depends on the day, because
Right.
I don't do the same routine every day, and some days if I'm not feeling it, I don't push it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if I'm going to do 500 sit-ups, this is part of the mind game that I play. So the first 100 I count from 1 to 100.
Okay.
The second 100 I count down from 100.
Okay.
The third I count back up to 100.
Yes.
The fourth I count down from 100.
Right.
And then the fifth I count back up from 100.
Right.
Now that helps keep my mind sharp. It also helps me keep a count of how many am I doing.
Right.
But I'm working my brain at the same time I'm working my body.
Yeah.
So that's why I say there's games that you play in the gym because you spend so
Right.
many hours in there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No.
Now, the other thing for me is that I like to wear earbuds because I get lost in the music. So, you talked about my spin bike stuff. So recently for Guinness, I submitted, 37 miles in 60 minutes on a spin bike.
On a spin bike with one leg.
So yeah, you're pushing.
Knock it off.
You're pushing down. You're pulling up.
Right.
So, and people tell me that's cheating. It's funny. I mean, people. I've heard all kinds of stories. But
jackasses.
But so, for me, I have to sit on the seat the whole time. You don't
Right.
think about that. I didn't think about it at first, but I can't get
No,
up.
I
and
become
run.
a eunuch when I sit for too long.
See-
I got nothing. I don't feel anything.
Well, I used to get numb for
Right.
It took me a long time. So I would do like 15 minutes, and it was kicking my butt.
Right.
Because it was my butt that was hurting.
Right.
You do get numb.
I'm a
you know what I
spinner,
mean?
so I know.
Yeah. So I started off, and I didn't start off doing hours on the spin bike. I started out 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It's like everything else, the sit-ups. You got to work
Right.
your way up to it. It's like that stair step to success.
Real quick, let's digress just for a second. What you just said is really, really important to me. You got to work your way up to it.
Climb that
So wait a minute. You didn't come to the gym the first day that you started back to get your life. You didn't start at 100% kicking ass 5 hours on a bike.
I told you I couldn't even swim one lap.
Right. So you make it small, make it attainable, make it something you can do. If anything comes out of this podcast today, I want you to just make it small, make it attainable. Anything is
Again.
or possible, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I started on the bike, and I only did the bike thing because I used to ride a bike years and years ago.
Right.
And I thought, well, hey, I'll do this kind of as a warm up. I go do my stretching, I come do a little bike, do a little cardio, whatever. But I have to sit down, so my butt would get numb. So I went out and bought a pair of padded shorts, bike shorts. My wife says, "What are you doing? You got one leg. When are you going to realize you don't need? Why do you need bike shorts?" So I got the bike shorts, and hey, instead of doing 15 minutes without my bum getting numb, I
Right.
went 20,
Right.
and 30. Well, now all of a sudden, this is a couple of years in the making, but
Yeah.
now I've done 3 hours without getting off the bike, sitting the whole time, and I don't get any pain from that.
Right.
So my goal was to do 100 miles in 3 hours,
Okay.
and I haven't done the full 3 hours yet. I think I did 241 minutes. No, what was it? I did 80 miles in, what was it? Maybe it was 158 minutes or something like that. No, it was over 2 hours. So it was over 2 hours, but not 3 hours. So that was a long time, and my butt did hurt from it.
Right.
And I don't want to have a hurt butt, so I moved on to
I don't
something
think
else.
any of us do.
Yeah. So
David, you in for a hurt butt? No,
yeah,
David said no.
So I moved on to something else. You know what I mean? But so this step to success, if you make every one of your goals achievable, and what happens is you're realizing more than one goal at a time that you didn't plan on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
When you start dumping weight, it becomes easier.
Yes.
It does. You're carrying less. You don't get as fatigued. All of a sudden, your skin becomes more healthy. I mean, your whole body is thanking you.
It's like magic.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
It's almost like, if I go back to when I was a kid, my sister, and I think about this all the time. My sister didn't have glasses when she was real young, but she never told anybody that she couldn't see very well. And she got a pair of glasses. She was like 10 years old. And she says, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm Alice in Wonderland. All of a sudden, I'm seeing all of these things that I've never seen before because of these glasses. And so I think about that, and it's like, you know, that's kind of what happened with me. Once I started to eat right, once I started to exercise, once I lost all this weight, once I started to feel good, all of a sudden the world came alive to me. Guess what? I started golfing again. I started water skiing again. I started snow skiing again. I started riding my motorcycle. I started racing motocross again. I started winning races again. I started to get invited to more events. All of a sudden,
You're making it happen.
The whole world opened up to me again because I was able to participate in life because I gave up some of these bad choices that I was making.
Real quick, okay, he doesn't belong to me. His name is Ollie. This is Mike's dog. He's amazing.
His name is Ollie MX Pup on Instagram, and he's real famous in the motocross industry.
So you got to look him up because he's a sweetheart.
Yeah, Ollie MX Pup.
He's coming to steal the show, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Aren't you going to steal the show?
Ollie
You're
loves
a lover,
everybody.
dude.
Yeah, he's a good boy, and he goes everywhere with me.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's one of the.
I was going to introduce him later. He just decided I'm going to just introduce myself.
No, that's Ollie. So. At the Skateboard Hall of Fame, I was just at the Skateboard Hall of Fame.
I want to talk about, well, here, don't go there yet.
Okay.
Before you go to the Hall of Fame, tell us how you got involved and how you're involved with vans and how you became a professional skateboarder with one leg.
When I lost my leg racing motorcycles in 1972, I mentally thought I could still race motorcycles. I could still be competitive.
Right.
Because I was very competitive. I was winning a bunch of races and had a lot of sponsors. And when I lost my leg, you know, the doctor told me, you're never going to walk again. You're never going to ride a motorcycle. Because I kept saying, hey, get me back on the track, you know.
Right.
Well, the sponsors went away. Back then, it was like, if you lost your leg racing a motorcycle, we don't even want you at the track because people see what the consequences could be.
Right.
So the sponsors didn't want to be involved, but I still thought I was competitive. So I went out, I raced like 3 more times, and I realized, hey, I'm just not competitive anymore. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm just not there. Couldn't do it.
Okay.
So I could still ride fine. I could still race. I just wasn't competitive. So I went to work for a company that manufactured some motorcycle parts, handlebars, grips, number plates. It was called Interstate Specialties. They're not around anymore, but they manufactured the handlebar kits. Well, they started manufacturing these handlebar kits for Stingray bicycles.
Really?
So you could put a motocross handlebar number plate and grips with a number on your Stingray and pretend as a kid that you were racing motorcycles.
Right.
And that was in 1973.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, that market exploded. And this company went from 1,000 square feet to 10,000 square feet in like 6 months.
Right.
And they also invented the urethane wheel for skateboards in around 1974.
Okay.
So we started to sell the wheels, and they were all loose ball bearings, which, you know, they weren't precision
What are they
bearings.
really commonly called in skateboarding? Trucks, right?
Well, no, the truck is what connects the wheels to the board,
okay.
and then there's the wheels. But the bearings were just loose balls spinning in there on the urethane wheels. But the urethane was the huge invention because now you could roll over a crack or a rock or whatever without being stopped, because the old clay wheels or the wood wheels or the steel wheels would stop you instantly, and that, you know, result in injury.
Right.
So when we went from 1,000 square feet to 10,000 square feet, I was the number 3 guy with the company, and I was in charge of production and shipping and all of that kind of stuff. So instead of walking on my forearm crutches, because remember, I got one leg, from the front office to the back 100 times a day, I would just get on a skateboard. Wow. So I would push myself from the front of the shop to the back of the shop 100 times a day.
So he's using a skateboard as a tool
to propel myself.
Get around, and then go ahead.
Right. And because the 2 primaries with the company were older guys, and I was a younger guy because I was only 17.
Right.
All the guys that worked in the back were 17, 18, 19, 20 years old.
You're one of them.
Well, So every break or lunchtime, we would race around the pallets on the skateboard. Well, I got so good at it that nobody could beat me.
Team building.
Because I would either stick my crutch in front of their skateboard or in their crotch, whatever it took.
HR problem.
Whatever it took to win, you know what I mean? Because I had that competitive nature.
Yes.
So, you know, we did that for a year, and then they had a I thought it was just a trade show, skateboard trade show at the Orange County Fairgrounds. Well, it turned out it was a big skateboard competition. They had cross country, they had slalom, and they had freestyle.
Okay.
And we had a booth, and we were selling our skateboards there.
And at this point, how long have you been riding a skateboard at that point?
6 months.
Okay, so you've been 180 days in.
Yeah, something like that. And less than a year from when I lost my leg.
Right.
You know, and so I was working the booth, you know, trying to sell these boards, and the boards were made of polypropylene, so, you know, they look like a banana. You stand on them and you'd sink down on them, you know.
Yeah, I remember.
And so my boss, his name was Donald Bunker, he came over and he says, "Hey, I just want to let you know, they're having a skateboard competition for this thing, and I entered you." And I go, "You what?" He goes, "No, I entered you."
What was his name?
Donald Bunker.
Donald threw you off the cliff.
Yeah. So he goes, "I entered you." And I go, "Well, what do you mean you entered me?" You know? And he goes, "I've seen what they do. You can do everything they're doing. You know, they're doing the cross country, yeah, you can do that. The slalom you can do, and the freestyle, you can do that too, you know. And I already paid the entries. You're already in it, you know."
One leg.
So I went over, I said, "Okay, well, I got to go see what they're doing," you know. So I went over there and I watched them do freestyle, and it's like, that was tricks. So I didn't know how to do any tricks on a skateboard.
You're not there yet.
Yeah, I had no clue. So I watched a guy do a handstand on the skateboard and do a big circle in the handstand. So I went around back there at the Orange County Fairgrounds. They used to have these big bungalow kind of things, you know.
I remember.
In the parking lot, because that's where it was, in the big asphalt parking lot. So I went behind this building, and I'm practicing doing handstands on a skateboard. Never done them before in my life, right? So I'm practicing doing handstands back there. So I got to where I could do a handstand pretty good. So anyway, when they called my name to go up on there, they had a little stage for us to do our routine. You get 3 minutes to do whatever tricks, you know. And I'd kind of like go around, put my crutches out, you know, and stuff like that, you know, faking it, you know, fake it till you make it kind of thing. And then at the end, I threw my crutches away and I hopped, got enough speed, did a handstand and did a circle on the stage.
Wow.
Doing a handstand, you know, spiraling into the center.
Right.
Well, I made the finals. And they only took 10, and I qualified 8th or whatever.
So your boss was right.
So, and then I did the cross country, and I qualified on all 3 of the events.
Right.
Well, it turned out that skateboarding started to grow like crazy from that.
Right.
So I started getting lots of recognition, and I was approached by a company called Gordon & Smith Skateboard. Well, actually, before Gordon & Smith, they had another contest in Northern California that I was asked if I would go up there and compete. And at this time, I'm practicing every single day. And in order to sell skateboards, we developed a team. It was called ISS. I told you, Interstate Specialties was the name of the company, but ISS, you know, they shortened it to an acronym. And then, so we had Team ISS, and we all had T-shirts made. And there was like 6 of us went up in the back of an old van to the California State Freestyle Skateboard Championships in the Cow Palace.
Okay.
So by this time, I'm practicing skateboarding every single day, every day. You know, 2-handed handstands, kick flips, whatever I could do. I'm practicing every day.
With one leg?
With one leg. Okay. So we go up there, we get up there, and all the big names are there. Tom Sims, Tony Alva, Ed Nadelin, Russ Howell.
All before Tony Hawk.
Oh, Tony wasn't even born yet, probably.
I know, right?
You know, and so the best guys in the whole world are going up there.
Right.
We get up there, and we're going to compete in this contest. They say, we got a pro purse. We're going to give $500, and this is like 1976, I think. We're going to give $500 to the guy that wins it.
Right.
And so every one of the best guys in the world all went pro, and I stayed amateur. Well, there was still 30 or 40 guys in my class.
Right.
But so when they said, okay, and 3rd place amateur is so-and-so, and 2nd place amateur is Rick Lugo, and that's who I thought was going to win it. And 1st place amateur is Mike Lewis, and I'm like, or actually, they said Mike Johnson, because I think I told you.
Whole other story.
My parents divorced when I was real young, changed my name and everything. So I skateboarded.
He was kidnapped.
I skateboarded as Mike Johnson. So when they called my name to come up there, and they had to, the 3-tier podium, and I hopped up there, no problem hopping up on the top thing. But when they handed me the trophy, because it was 5 feet tall, I fell off of the podium with the trophy because it was so heavy, and I wasn't letting go, you know. So I ended up winning that. And when I won that contest, which I had no inclination that I was even going to be in the running, you know.
Right.
But when I won that, all of a sudden I'm in TV Guide, I'm, you know, Time Magazine, I'm in Time Magazine, I'm, you know, National Enquirer, U.S. Magazine. So all these, because back then there wasn't internet.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
there was no internet?
There was no internet.
Really?
Yeah. So everything was newspapers and magazines.
Yes.
You know, I come back, I'm on the cover of the Orange County Register.
Right.
You know, or the front page of the Orange County Register.
That's a newspaper, young people.
Yeah. So, so that happened. That kind of changed my life. And then Gordon and Smith, a big skateboard company, you know, they contacted me and say, hey, we want to give you full sponsorship, take care of everything.
Right.
So I went to Gordon and Smith, and then they started sending me around to do demos, and so I started doing that, and then I ended up going with Hobie because Hobie offered me a better deal, and then the book
still
deal
a big
came up.
company now, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, and then so it just started to snowball, and then Vans Tennis Shoes offered me a full deal, salary, company vehicle, travel, all of that.
All because you decided to use
become a skateboarder on one leg
to go around the office to get from one point to the other.
Remember I said about take advantage of the inconvenience?
Yeah.
So
well, you also said something that was really profound earlier too. You said you don't know what other things are going to come from it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I never thought I was going to be a professional skateboarder with one leg.
Right.
I mean, in fact.
So you didn't in the 5th grade go, hey, I think I'm going to cut my leg off and become a skateboarder.
Yeah. No. It wasn't anything like that.
Just making sure.
And all of a sudden, I mean, all of these TV shows are calling me, we want you on the air, and it wasn't just skateboard related stuff, the dating game, they call me, says, come on, we want you to go on the dating game. That's incredible. We want you to go on that. So, and then all of a sudden I got an opportunity to do the Laker halftime shows.
Really?
So when I started doing Laker halftime shows, I'm first skateboarder ever to do a halftime show, and highest rated halftime show in Laker history.
Really?
Was my first demo. And when I went to...
Is there footage of that somewhere?
I'm sure there is somewhere.
If you guys know where it is, find it. I want to see it.
Yeah, I'd love to get because I have Billy Hinkle right now trying to do a documentary. We'd love to get some of that footage. But
yeah, anything.
Lon Rosen was the director of promotions. Dr. Buss owned... This is back when the Lakers played at the Forum. So
the fabulous Forum.
Yeah, so this was all at the Forum.
Right.
And so when I did the very first show, or before I did the show, I went up there because they said, Lon Rosen, the director of promotion, said, hey, they want to see what you're going to do before we have you down there in front of 14,500 people, for the halftime show. Because this is when the Lakers won back-to-back championships.
Right.
What was it, 79 and 80 or 80 and 81 or something like that? I forget
Magic
exactly.
Johnson.
Right. Magic, Cooper, Kareem.
Worthy.
And I got to meet them all, which was incredible. I got to change in the dressing room, which was incredible. I mean, it was surreal.
Magical.
But anyway, so before I got to do it, though, they said, bring your equipment, and we want to look at it because those floors, basketball floors, they protect them big time.
I know.
So they looked at my skateboards and they said, hey, you can't do this. They looked at my crutches. So I ended up having to tape the outside of the skateboards in case the wood touched the wood floors and the crutch tips. They were worried about the crutches doing damage to the floors and all that. So I had to go through that. I guess they had an attorney, somebody there, Chick Hearn. He was
announcer?
one. He was no. Well, Chick was the announcer, but well, I was trying to think of the team manager, whatever. He was out there because he was concerned about it. He's Curry or something. I forget his name, but anyway, so they were all out there protecting this floor, And when they looked at me, it's like this. Wait a minute, this guy's going to do this show, and so they said, okay, so walk us through it. So there's a tunnel, that you enter the floor from. So I said, what I want you to do is to turn out all the lights right before I start. So I want it to be completely dark.
Okay.
Well, the wheel company that
one leg and you can't see.
The wheel company that was sponsoring made these wheels that when you rolled, they lit up in different colors.
Okay.
So they turned out, they said, ladies and gentlemen, all the lights go out. And all of a sudden you see these lights come flying in, red, blue, green, yellow, whatever. And that's all you can see. You don't see anything else.
Right.
All of a sudden the lights come on. I jump up in the air and I jump over 5 or 6 of these big barrels, 60-gallon drum barrels, and land on another skateboard and skate off. Well, that friggin' place erupted.
That's cool.
So that was my first one, and I ended up getting a standing ovation from 14,000 people at the Forum.
I'm giving you one in my brain right now. That's amazing.
So I left there on a high,
right.
And who would have ever thought that anything like that was going to happen? Well, then Lon Rosen, the director of promotions, gives me an autographed basketball from all the Lakers.
Wow. You still have it?
No. Well, I just gave it to the Skateboard Hall of Fame.
Oh,
So,
well, yeah, okay. You've had
so
it.
if you go to the Skateboard Hall of Fame,
Where is it?
In Simi Valley.
Okay.
So if you go to the Skateboard Hall of Fame Museum in Simi Valley, it's run by Todd Huber. There's a full display. There's a mannequin with one of the riding suits that I wore to do the first Laker show, the actual crutches, the skateboard, and the basketball from the Lakers
That is so
on
cool.
display.
And is the mannequin with one leg?
Yeah,
That's freaking.
I'll show you a
awesome.
picture of it.
I'd love to see it. That's amazing.
So I did that, and then they asked me to come back and do another one, and then San Diego called me and they said, "We want you to start doing halftime shows for us," and I said,
yeah,
because I didn't.
Well, you got to make money,
Because
man.
I wasn't.
I get it.
I didn't charge the Lakers to do
Right.
them because Vans was paying me.
Right.
But when San Diego called, now the Lakers did give me 50 tickets to both of the games that I did the halftime
Wow.
shows for.
Imagine how much that'd be worth today.
Yeah,
50 tickets.
I didn't sell them.
So you lost your leg, and instead of just giving up and not trying, you lived a full life up to this point.
I'm
now.
still living life.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're done. Trust me.
Yeah.
We're literally 10 years apart. I'll be 60 in 3 weeks. It's amazing. And I always tell people, I see so many people wasting their lives. And so give me your time if you don't want to do it, is how I feel.
Yeah.
You don't want to take advantage of the next 10 years. Give it to me. I'll take another 10 years.
Yeah. No,
Right?
I say, call me. I'll show you how to turn it around.
Right.
You know, every day. In fact, last night I was with an amputee that, he wants to get on with
Yeah.
life. Yeah, no, I'll show you how to turn it
So-
around.
How are we doing on time?
48 minutes.
Okay. So you're segueing perfectly. I couldn't do this interview more perfectly than you've set it up. Thank you. What's your message? Because you just started to tell it. What's your message to the people, and what would you like to see for them, the people that are depressed and scared, and maybe they're amputees, and maybe they've got type 2 diabetes, or maybe they're sitting there in pain with gout? What's your message to them to knock it off, to get their lives back?
Well, nobody can live your life but you. And the only way you can change it is to change it. You know what I mean? You can't keep doing what you're doing and get anything other than what you're getting. So
Expound on that just a little bit.
So what I tell people is, again, get a piece of paper, make a stair step. The very first thing you got to start with is what you're eating, because nutrition is everything.
Okay.
The second thing is proportions, then exercise. Those three things will change your life. Those three things. And those are the stepping stones to the next three. I mean, to the next step. And polishing, taking an inventory of your tools. That's the other thing, is I tell people, take an inventory of your tools.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so
Tools.
my crutches are a tool
Yes.
of mine, right? My physical condition my physical being is a tool. My balance is a tool. Like I didn't have great balance. Right. I had to develop the balance, and I still work on my balance every single day. People tell me all the time, they go, "You got the best balance in the world." And I said, "Well, I wasn't born with it."
Well, let me just say, okay, you guys know what the big ropes are? David, you know the big ropes?
Battle ropes.
He'll get on the battle ropes on a balance board with one leg, and he'll do squats while he's doing ropes. Okay? Just to give you an idea what he's talking about. Go on.
So I tried to learn the tools that I thought I needed to get to the next level, to the next step.
Right.
And balance for me, and not for everybody, but for me, balance was a huge one, because balance is important with one leg or two legs. I mean, if you walk upright, you've got to have some balance. So I started focusing on balance. And this actually goes back to when I was sitting at home in bed taking pain pills, because I was in horrible shape. I was over 200 pounds, without a leg, and not eating good, watching TV. So I thought, here's how I can do this. I'm already weaning myself off the meds. I wasn't ready to go to the gym. So every time a TV commercial came on, every commercial, I'd stand up and I'd do one squat.
Just one?
Just one.
One?
One squat.
One.
And then another commercial would come on, I'd do another one.
Make
and then
it
another.
small, make it attainable.
I did that for the whole first week.
Okay.
But every commercial, I did one squat.
Yes.
I was holding on to something.
Yes.
I was holding on to a chair and also the bed, the lower bed.
Okay, so you were doing an assisted squat.
Assisted squat. I couldn't do it. I was over 200 and some pounds
Right.
with one leg. I couldn't do it.
I get it.
So I started to do it like that. I did that for a week. The next week, I was actually able to do 3 squats every commercial. Well, pretty soon I didn't have to hold on anymore.
Right.
I could do it without holding on. Well, what was it? 3 weeks ago, I did 182 squats in 3.5 minutes, standing on a Bosu ball.
180.
182 in 3.5 minutes.
182.
And for Guinness, I did 75 in 60 seconds on a Bosu ball.
Wow.
So that all started, and that's why this documentary that they're wanting to do right now, they said, well, what do you want to call it? And I said, 30 Seconds to Success, because that 30-second commercial is where it all started.
Right.
I thought every 30-second commercial, I'm going to do a squat, and that's where it started.
Every 30, listen, I've said it a million times, make it small, make it attainable, and then watch what happens, right?
Right.
It goes from there. So your message is people can get their lives back, and they can do it 30 seconds at a time.
30 seconds at a time, and that's all it takes. You don't have to commit to the next 10 years.
And
Commit to the next 30 seconds.
Well, that applies to nutrition, exercise, education, spirituality,
Everything.
whatever, right?
Everything. Yeah.
Right.
Take a bite that's big enough that you get substance from it,
Yeah.
but not so big you choke on it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So for me, it was that 30 seconds. The 30-second commercials changed my life. So let me tell you some of the residuals from that.
Let's hear it.
Which these are the rewards that nobody else really knows about. You don't think about. I told you about the Lakers and getting to meet them, and
Well, you
know,
just started
getting all
pushing
that.
yourself around a warehouse.
You know, so
You
when
met the
when I was doing one of the
ridiculous.
practices for the Laker halftime shows,
Right.
there was some people up on stage, and they were getting ready to have a concert on stage.
Okay.
Well, I didn't know who it was.
You're setting me up here.
I'm busy on the floor
I
trying
can
to
feel it.
do my skateboard stuff. So I get up on the back then there was no cell phones; it was pay phones.
I know.
So so I'm at the forum, and I'm on the pay phone, and I'm telling my girlfriend, I just found out who's here practicing for a concert that's going to be tonight.
Drum roll, please.
And she's telling me who, and I said Rod Stewart, Kim Carnes, and Tina Turner.
Oh my God.
And they're watching me on the floor practicing. They're up on stage.
Rod Stewart, Kim Carnes,
And
Missing
Tina-
Persons. If you never heard them, go to Spotify.
It was called Tonight I'm Yours concert.
Wow.
Right. So all of a sudden, 2 people come up to me, and the gal is banging on the phone next to me, because they had like this little metal braided thing on there, and she's banging it on the wall. And she says, "This fucking phone's not working," and a whole bit. She's got a hoodie on.
He dropped the MF.
She's got her hoodie on, and she's kicking this thing, and I'm
Right.
talking, and she goes, "Excuse me, can I use that phone?" And I turn around, it's Tina Turner.
Oh my God.
So she says, "I really need to make a phone call." So I tell my girlfriend, her name was Patty, and I go, "You're not going to believe this. Tina Turner wants me to hang up so she could use the phone." So I got off the phone, and Tina got to use it.
Right.
So those are one of those small little nuggets.
Yes.
I'll give you another one. One day I get a delivery. I open it up. It's a bottle of Dom Perignon from Richard Pryor. I'd never
Really?
even met Richard Pryor, and he says, "Hey, I saw you. That was incredible. Here's your bottle of Dom Perignon." I mean, I drank it. I was like, wow, this is so good. I ended up having lunch with Meadowlark Lemon.
Globetrotters.
Yeah, he was such a good guy, and his hands are so friggin' big. Unfortunately, we lost Alan Hale Jr., skipper of Gilligan's Island.
Really?
We ended up becoming friends.
We're dropping everything today. Gilligan's Island made this podcast
Let me
today.
tell you something. Well, back then,
Right.
these were the biggest people there was.
I know. No social media, guys.
No,
Back then.
And then so, not too long ago, I was doing a show, and somebody asked me, the guy that was doing the show was a young guy,
Yes.
and he goes, "Tell me 2 of the biggest things that have ever happened in your life. Give me 2 examples." And I said, well, one of them was I was at home with my family. My sister opens up TV Guide, and I'm in the TV Guide.
That's cool.
And the second one was somebody brings me a Time magazine. I'm the first skateboarder in Time magazine.
Wow.
And he goes, "Can I ask you a follow-up question?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "What's TV Guide and what's Time magazine?"
Right.
And I said, "Are you kidding me?"
No, they're not.
you know, had no clue.
Google it, TV
You know,
Guide.
at the time, there was probably nothing that sold more than TV Guide.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, I know.
Because you never knew what was on TV unless you looked at.
You're
TV
making me
Guide.
realize how old I am.
Yeah. So those are some of the residuals that come from being healthy. And that doesn't mean that everybody's going to get some famous person reach out to them.
No.
But what happens is when people see you're committing 100%. So I tell people, listen, I don't have 100%. I've only got about 70% left, but I'm able to give 100% of my 70.
Right.
And when others see you give that much of yourself, guess what? They want to be close to that.
That's right.
They want to share that with you.
Right.
And they want that for themselves. So when they see it's possible, and people say every single day, people say to me, you inspire me because I see what you're able to do with one leg and I have two. Or I see that you're able to do this. It's like, are you kidding me? I don't have a reason to not come to the gym, or I don't have a reason to not eat healthy. I don't have a reason to not, and I've said this a million times. If I could sing, I would be a singer, but I can't. Right. So I've chosen other things to do, and I'm still choosing. I mean, there's a lot of things that I want to do in life, but I'm golfing. I'm an 18 handicap. I love golf. I don't play. I don't play it as much as I'd like to, but when
are we gonna go? We gotta go.
Well,
I want to go golfing. with you.
Ricky Fowler owns the Marietta driving range. His dad, Rod Fowler, is a real good friend of mine. Oh yeah,
I'd love to go.
Oh yeah.
So let me know.
And then I don't know if you're familiar who David Bailey is, 5-time national motocross champion, world champion motocross. He's my golf partner. He actually is paralyzed from here down. And David plays with his left arm, and he's a tremendous golfer.
Because we get one life. I mean, as far as I know, I don't know if we get multiple, but while I'm here, we get one life. So we got to make the most of it. If Michael hasn't proved that, and you haven't picked that up during this podcast, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for you. But make it small, make it attainable. And then I'm a hardcore Yankee fan, if you haven't figured that out by the last podcast in New Jersey, this one in New Jersey. Yeah, and I'll wear a jersey every time. And so we're sitting here talking. He goes, so you're a Yankee fan? I go, yeah. And he was friends with?
Well, he was really good friends with my boss, which I ultimately became friends with Billy Martin.
Billy Martin,
the manager
Yankee manager.
Yankees. Yeah.
The weekend of the Dodgers-Yankees. He's telling me he knows. That's got to be good luck.
Well, plus, Billy Martin's a character. He was just a really funny guy.
Yes.
Most people probably don't know this, but he had a sponsorship from Chiquita Bananas.
Really?
Yeah. So every week he'd get like a pallet of Chiquita Bananas. So every time you'd see Billy, he's handing you a bundle of Chiquita Bananas.
I bet nobody has ever heard this before.
Oh, I tell you, he was a character. He got a lot. People gave Billy a lot of attention.
Right.
I mean, he got a lot of rewards in life. And he didn't always, make the best of them, because he liked to drink. But hey, we all have our crutches.
Yes. You've been amazing today. And so how do people get a hold of you? How do people hear about you, where you're at, social media wise, things like that?
Well, I'm on Facebook.
Okay. How do they find you on Facebook?
Michael Lewis on Facebook.
Lewis?
Lewis. Okay. I'm on Instagram. I'm on
How are you
Twitter.
on Instagram? How do you get there?
What is it? MX Michael -1, or also
MX Michael -1.
-1. My race number's -1.
Okay.
Because I'm -1.
Okay. That's how you find him on Instagram. We're going to Juicing Strong. I'm going to follow him today if I haven't already followed him.
Or you can email me at mike.legendsandheroes.com.
Okay. Any other way to get a hold of you?
Well, those are the easiest ones.
Okay. Good. And so what do you got going on? What's the next big event for you?
Well, unfortunately, there was a really bad accident at the motocross track last weekend where a 9-year-old girl was killed.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's terrible.
Brooke
What was
Carlton.
her name? What was her
Brooke
name?
Carlton.
I'm sorry.
So we're doing a celebration of life for her at the Elsinore track tomorrow at 11:30. I'll be out on the bike.
Okay.
So I'm doing a parade lap
Okay.
to honor her. And then after that, it will be tomorrow afternoon, I'll be at Dofo Winery for the Kurt Caselli.
You got anything coming up? Because this will probably not. David, when will this be out? And then next week?
In the next week, yeah.
So it'll be out in the
I'll
next
be
week.
I'll be on the motorcycle at the Del Mar Fair for 5 days, every day doing shows. So Del Mar Fair, 19th to 23rd, I'll be doing shows.
Okay.
I'll have a booth with my motorcycle, all my riding gear. Ollie will be there. We'll be signing
Yeah.
we have posters.
Want to
So
come out and see you?
Yeah, so the Del Mar Fair, motocross, 5 days, 19th through 23rd. I'll be doing, I'll be riding and I'll be in the booth.
One of the things I can say, and I'll wrap it up with this, is he lives knock it off, and he doesn't live it in a way that is attacking like I do. He's very kind. He looks out for people, and he looks out for people that don't even know they need it. I've seen him at the gym. I've seen him go up to people, and he's so kind and gracious and caring. And that means I want to be around people like that. And what he said earlier, positive begets positive, negative begets negative, in my opinion. I think you believe that as well. And that's the key, right? So make it small, make it attainable. Thanks for being on today.
Oh, my
It
pleasure.
was amazing.
No, it's
and
my
knock
pleasure.
it off, okay? And the Yankees will win this weekend. Sorry, Dodger fans. Thank you.
Thank you.